Haere mai from my heart place to your heart place to the Heart Place Hospital podcast, Liam.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know what I'd say in Scotland. You're right. Thank you so much. That's a beautiful welcome. Thank you.
Most welcome. Most welcome. And I love starting these podcasts with how I know the guests. So you and I are, social media buddies?
We're the internet friends.
Yeah. Energy exchanges. Yeah.
Right.
So we met a few years ago now, and I'm not even sure when, but possibly pandemic times, no doubt.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And you've kindly had me on your podcast twice, so it's payback. Like we've got balloons.
Oh, we've got balloons. Don't you love what Zoom does now? It's just so erratic. That's how we feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's fabulous.
and I think between us, we've got a few things in common. One is our pain to purpose, our shit to manure, our mess to messaging stories.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the point of creating this platform, was so that these stories that our news and media aren't sharing are told, and those who have been drawn into roles like ourselves, so us who have drawn into caregiving roles, frontline roles, can actually see that there's beauty in every corner of the world,
Right. Absolutely.
And that we're here to lift up others. So
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share your beautiful bio.
Oh, thanks. What did I write? Oh my goodness.
I love this bit. I love this. I'm going to steal this. You're an international nurse. I love it.
Listen, I'm in the line of selling yourself. Like, you're going to know how to sell yourself like shit. So I am an international nurse.
It's like saying you're an international spy or something. That's so cool. And so you've got 12 years of experience gained across the UK, Australia, and Fiji. I didn't know about that bit.
Yeah.
And so following multiple episodes of burnout, stress, and nervous system dysregulation, you hit rock top. That's cool. Landing a super comfy non-clinical nursing role paying $185K per year. However, you were miserable, burnt out, and fed up. Tick, tick, tick.
The drama.
Yeah, same thing. So you left your senior role to use your skills, knowledge, and experience to empower nurses to make nursing work for them on their terms. Since then, you've helped over 450 nurses globally apply, interview, and land their first, next nursing role. You've built a strong community of social media community who are looking for personal and professional support and growth. And you're also the proud host of the top-rated high-performance nursing podcasts, where you seek to help nurses see that they have all the options. You've built a multi-six-figure business from the ground up, blood, sweat, and tears.
Lots of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. A few rocking in the corners, I'm sure. And good, we can laugh about it now, right?
Oh God, yeah. I was just crying before I came on. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, every part of you is welcome. And you're excited to help nurses monetize their skills, knowledge, and experience to make money online and stop working overtime. A woman, I'm loving that. So this is you've come to the right place. This is where I call it hype girl platform, amplify those of us who have been to the school of hard knocks and have graduated, and we can really showcase individuals like ourselves who are reshaping the landscape of health and education, and we've got unwavering dedication in it too.
Right. Well, you have to. You have to when you are crazy enough to step out of the system and the false sense of security that it provides. You have to have a little bit of craziness, I think, to be able to do that.
Definitely a little bit of craze. Yeah. Embrace the craze.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I know you. That's a little bit about you. What I love to ask Nets is kind of like, if you could share some of those experiences that you've had the lessons you've learned, the challenges you've faced, and the incredible impact that you've already had on the lives of
Mm.
others.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Where do we start? I think that being a clinician, we naturally gift ourselves the opportunity to have impact and to have this reach beyond ourselves, which was something that drew me to nursing originally. And as I built my career, the School of Hard Knocks taught me that, Liam, maybe, just maybe, you can't do this in the system. Maybe the system is limited. It's designed in a way that doesn't allow you to be your full, complete self and show up and have the impact that I just always craved. And initially, that impact came from an unclean place, right? It was impact because I wanted to prove myself. I
Mm,
wanted to show that I was worthy. I was a people pleaser. I'm a recovering people pleaser, perfectionist, all of the things. I mean, God, I was an ICU nurse, right? So, like, we were like so anal about everything. And the slightest little bit of criticism, and like, I was broken. I was
mm,
so emotionally, mentally inflexible.
mm,
And it was through these moments through my career where I just started to have these realizations, and I just was energetically and mentally and emotionally fatigued, spiritually fatigued. And I was just like, what is wrong with me? I kept going back to like, what's wrong with me? Is there something physically, mentally, emotionally wrong with me? And over time, I just realized like, no, actually, you're burnt out. You're
mm.
experiencing extreme misalignment, and that these burnout breakthrough episodes were moments where I was able to give myself permission whilst I was wallowing in the shit of burnout to reconnect with myself. And I feel like I've burnt out probably three, four, probably five times now, because being an entrepreneur, you still burn out. But now I have the tools, the community, the support. I give myself permission to receive all of that. And I think that that's been a big lesson in my journey, is that there is no end destination where the all is clear and it's sunshine and rainbows and daisies. And there's unicorns and it's just amazing. Like, that doesn't exist. It's which breaks my soul a little bit, because I kind of live in like musical theater land where I want that to be my reality.
Delusions of grandeur, I call it.
Right, right, exactly. But I've realized over time that it's what I'm equipping myself with is the skills, the tools, the knowledge to be able to get better at doing the basics really good.
Mhm.
I always have this saying, I say it all the time, like, being good at the basics makes you advanced. And I feel like for me in my growth, having impact, building a nurse-led movement online like yourself, trying to be an innovative thinker and role model, um, the hurdles that have come along with that have just helped me grow and evolve as a human. And even like situations like this, where now I talk to people all over the world like yourself, and I go, oh my goodness, past Liam never even thought that was possible. Past Liam was crapping himself before he got on and interviewed Jackie for the first time, right? And it's so funny how we just build that capacity within our nervous system and our mental and emotional health and well-being, to be able to give ourselves space to create and to go out and offer these lessons. So that's like a lesson, I guess, that I've learned. And the impact is something that I feel like has been like a strategic byproduct of me just showing up, sharing my story, and connecting with people that it resonates with and aligns with. And from there, listening to people and really getting to understand what it is that their pain point is. What are they really struggling with? Because my version of burnout and the evolution of Liam into this fabulous international nurse that I now am,
Hi, I'm going
that
to call you from now on.
but that evolution is unique to me. It's one thing that I love that you offer within Heart Place Hospital. It's this unique, like, carer and helper centric model, which I feel like is just so missing. It's so funny, isn't it? The irony. We talk about this as clinicians every single day. Let's offer patient centered care. And I mean, that is just a buzzword in itself, because we don't offer patient centered care. And we just don't turn the mirror back at ourselves, and then, give ourselves permission to receive the support that we need within an industry whereby we experience immense micro and macro traumas every single day. So that's my roundabout way of saying my impact of being a nurse and being a nurse leader and a nursepreneur comes from me just being curious. And I actually finish my podcast with that. I always say, stay safe and stay forever curious, because it's through my curiosity that I've been able to use my amazing nursing skills, like active listening, to listen to nurses and really suss out what is it that you need help with, and create a space whereby I can provide it.
Amazing. So cool. So many things, so many things. I mean, I'm going to go back to your acknowledgement of Heart Place Hospital, and thank you for seeing that in Heart Place Hospital. And you're right, there's room for all of us at the top. There's so much room for the I used to call the helpers, but I feel like we're the guides, doulas, stewards. So there's room for us all, and some people resonate with us, and others will resonate with someone else, and so it's so cool, and it's so cool that now more and more, and it wasn't like this when I first started. I'd be curious to see if it was like this for you. There's so little competition. We're shaking pom-poms for each other, because we know that there's room on the broom for all of us. So I
Totally.
really wanted to acknowledge that first of all. And then another piece that you said, which I really love, and I have seen really missing, is examples and models of us actually really listening and meeting in partnership. And I always instantly I have this vision of us being back in our caveman days,
Yeah.
and actually sitting in circle and holding safe space and soft lands, I like to call it, that we can show up however we are in that given moment. Because as you know, as I know, we've both been rocking in corners.
Yeah.
We can be rocking in a corner 1 minute and then, cartwheeling the next. So, and
Yeah.
that's how we're designed. We're designed to regenerate that fast, that quickly. But when we don't have these soft lands and have permission to actually show up as ourselves, then it's just stored and stored and stored until da da da.
Yeah. Right.
There's
Yeah.
this big implosion. And I've got that t-shirt. I like you, I had lots of taps on the shoulder, and then several 4x4s in the back of my head, and then I had the mat truck in my face,
Yeah.
and that took a bit of a climb to get out of. And like you, it still happens, still
Yeah.
have awe-inspiring body gives me a message. And
Mhm.
generally, I like to think that I listen to the taps,
Yeah. Yeah.
but often get a 4x4 still. But I know exactly
I
what to
love
do.
the visual of that. I'm so sorry. I just love the visual of that. And it's what it feels like, right? It just knocks you flat. And
Yeah.
I think that the task of being human is like listening to that intuition, that inner guidance. And really, for me, it's been attuning to my mind and my body. Like I'm so good, like every clinician, every helper, at overthinking the shit out of everything. Like I'm so good at that, right? Because like I feel like we're trained overthinkers. We are trained as clinicians to think of worst case scenario the minute somebody walks into our presence. Like what could happen here? And that's great as clinicians, but when we take that home and we really live in our heads, which is only this tiny little part of our whole being, and we forget that we have a somatic body that is sending lots of data and signals to our brain through our neural pathways, that's where I see the disconnect. For me, that's been the biggest challenge, is dropping out of my brain and all the BS that happens up there with the 4x4 driving into the back in the truck from the side, and then my body, and really listening and sitting with my body. And I feel like energetically at the moment, I don't know how you feel, but there's a shift happening in the world right now. I feel like there's an energetic shift. I feel like it's
Oh
like
yeah.
rebirth season.
But
Have you found that to be true?
It's Anzac Day for both of us, as we're recording
Mm,
this. So
mm,
it's quite a pivotal
mm.
historical moment. But yeah, we're definitely in a monumental historical time.
Yeah,
Monumental.
I feel
And
that.
this is why I love, even if only one or two or no one watches this, you and I have got this on record.
Yeah, yeah. We knew.
And yeah, me and you, like in 20 years' time, let's watch it again. And yeah, so definitely shifts going on, and
Mm,
I'm just really curious. Like, I love all that, like I had the crazy lady in the attic, and
mhm.
had the whispers in the body, and it wasn't until it was my own healing journey that I actually discovered that. Like, it wasn't anything that I ever remember being taught at school or in my family or around my
Mm,
friends. And I did a podcast the other day with someone from my genre, and we were talking about how when we're at school, we would say things like, oh, she's up herself, or she loves herself,
mm,
like it was
mhm,
derogatory. And
mhm.
so I wonder, was it your Mac truck moments that
Yeah.
those messages have come to you? And
100%.
yeah,
Yeah. And I've
right.
found this to be true. Like, I've done like so many interviews on the podcast, and every person I talk to, it kind of heals a little part of me every time I speak to someone, because I realize that, like, through the discomfort of the breakdown and the burnout and all of the things that come with that, and it feels like it's never going to solve itself, comes a moment of clarity and this raised awareness. And I feel like it is just a universal realignment. I never really used to think like that pre this. I was like, people that thought about, like the universe and all of this. I'm like, what is going on there? Like, what's happening across there? But now I'm so attuned to that because I've just seen it so many times. But for me, it was those moments where, I just felt so kind of like down and out. I felt so low and so hopeless and helpless. I'm almost on the verge of depression, never formally diagnosed with that, but I was just really, really consumed by this heaviness. And that was my experience of it. And I remember I went to Fiji and I was there on a master's internship. I was doing master's in international public health. So I was there for 6 weeks and it was an amazing experience, but I couldn't allow myself to enjoy it because I was so heavy just with this burnout, trying to prove myself, trying to be great. And at the time, I had a manager at work that was breathing down my neck, that was being just horrible.
Mm,
Now I can see they were chronically dysregulated and they were trying to prove their worth and their capabilities. But I just was in Fiji. I remember phoning my partner, Luke, and just saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I just want to quit it all.
mm,
And I was a nurse unit manager at the time. I was, I had the masters, I had all the things that everybody thinks you need to get in order to be massively successful. I was working in Canberra. Canberra pays pretty well, even though it's a really boring place. Sorry, Canberra. Um, and I had all of the things. We just bought a house, I had a good like social life, and I just was so empty
yeah,
inside. And it was that moment, and that was the moment for me. And Luke just said, when you come back, let's get you some help. Let's get you some help. And I needed to give myself permission to just accept that help. And that was hard in itself. And
mm,
from there, I started therapy and I went into like different modes of therapy. And for the last, it's nearly been probably 8 years now that I've been going down that path. And that was a pivotal moment for me, that first day sitting with a psychologist and feeling like I was batshit crazy. And now I get those patients, like I'm not a psychologist, I'm a coach, but now I have nurses that come to me with a similar experience. And only the other day I was able to hold space for an amazing clinician. And she just kept saying, I think I'm psycho. I think I'm like crazy. I'm like, no, 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 you're not. It makes complete sense what you've gone through,
mm,
how you're presenting today. And I think that that's the biggest thing that I keep coming back to. It's like, how does this make sense based on my history? How can I normalize this whilst I'm trying to heal it?
yeah,
Because I think if we're trying to justify or blame somebody or, I should be like this, it's just much, much harder. So we have to
yeah,
give ourselves permission to just sit with it and go, this makes total sense. And for me, that allows me to calm my nervous system. Like, it
beautiful.
makes sense for me right now that I feel a little dysregulated and stressed, right? Like, 'cause I'm on a podcast. Like, that makes sense to me. But so many of us, when we're in that overthinking, over analytical brain, we're like, why am I feeling like this? What's going on here? And nothing's gone wrong. You're
Mm,
human with a human brain and a human body.
yeah, beautiful. That's awesome. I love it. And I love that your mess allowed you to be that messenger for that clinician the other day. Like, you're
Mm,
able to hold space. And I think that is the beauty of what has occurred. Like, I talk about us
mm,
being the bridges. So we've been raised in an era where um, normalizing that we're a multidimensional being
mhm,
hasn't been part of our total upbringing. However, we can, because of um, I guess because of the experiences we've had, we can then turn around and be the lighthouse, or
Mhm.
pour the water on the flames of those who are coming through, and
Mhm.
um, and show them the path that we've laid out,
Mhm.
and albeit maybe a bit wobbly and bumpy.
Cobblestones.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing that sort of popped in when you were talking about that was talk sort of around, and I just popped into my head, it being Anzac Day. Like, so many of us have, we've got intergenerational um, lives of
Mhm.
our family members who have been in really massive, pivotal historical events, which have,
Mhm.
things like war or disasters,
Yeah.
and all of us in the last 4 years have also lived through that as well. However,
Yeah.
what we're discovering this time round is that we actually have this awe-inspiring body
Mhm.
which holds on to that, but we're self-healers. We actually have the ability to shift that through.
Right.
And I don't believe I know that we are the ones. We were guided into the front line, and I use the word burnout because
Mhm.
familiar with it, but I
Mhm.
really do know that there was exploitation in our
Mhm.
lives.
Mhm.
And we're the ones who, through healing our boundary wounds, through taking that step, 80
Yeah.
to 90% of frontliners don't access help because of the stigma. So you and I did. I was 8 years ago as well, and
Mhm.
when I went, I felt like vomiting.
Mhm.
That's how
Mhm. Mhm.
that's how hard it was for me to do it. And when I did, I just couldn't believe, after I'd been a clinician for 21 years by then, serving my country.
Mhm.
And I just couldn't believe that was it. And that was when I went on my journey, as you have,
Yeah.
to provide the soft lands, the spaces where people are heard, and that they're told that they're not crazy. And I've had magical
Mhm.
mentors, and they turned around and said, "You're not crazy." And I just
Right.
was,
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Just that
Thank you.
acknowledgement.
Yeah.
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 I think one of the biggest challenges is that I feel like at some point in history, and I think this is a generational thing, but I think that now I coach a lot of graduate nurses and they're very much in the space where they like have really clear boundaries from the get-go. Like this new generation coming up, I love watching them because I'm like, good on you. Yes, you're saying no to that. Good. And I'm starting to see that shift, which is fabulous. But I think that we just have it's like an emotional avoidance pandemic. Like we have actively just avoided our emotions because we've been taught and told that it's not okay to feel your emotions and to allow them and to process them. And I kind of have this analogy of like the fact that we are as humans emotionally constipated. Like we almost need an emotional enema because if you think about it, every time I go and do any therapy, any coaching, like for myself, not as the coachee, I had a chiropractic adjustment yesterday and I had a bit of soft tissue massage work done yesterday. And my body immediately was like, obviously very clearly in a stressed fight or flight state. And straight after that, I was like nearly sleeping as I was driving home. And I think that that's one of the strategic byproducts of giving ourselves permission to receive the help because we start to raise our awareness of what our body needs and what it wants. Instead of this like overthinking up here in our brain, we're really leaning into listening to our body. And yesterday for me, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't work shifts now. I work full time in my business. I had my chiropractic adjustment. I was driving home and I'm like, I've got a podcast at 4 and I let myself go to bed and do yoga nidra. Which if you don't know what yoga nidra is and you're listening, it's basically just a yogic sleep where you just lie there and listen to something, but it just puts you into this very light sleep. I absolutely love it. It resets me. And I woke up with 3 minutes to the podcast, which was a little bit
Wait.
confronting. But anyway, because obviously fell asleep after it, but my body needed that. And I felt so much better. And I just feel like the more that we can normalize feeling our emotions as helpers, healers, clinicians, nurses, frontliners, the more that people will, one, give themselves permission to go and get the help that they need, but two, we will make the change that we want to see. Because once we realize that emotions it's just energy, and then we allow ourselves to process that, I think that we'll start to, I think we're already seeing that shift with people like yourself, right? The people that are shedding light on this and normalizing the fact that it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to cry. It's okay to have a shit day. It's okay
Yeah.
to have a great day. And the roller coaster of being a human on this earth is that, plus then add clinician. It's a shit show, people. Like, we know that, right? It's exactly what we live every single day. So let's normalize the fact that the highs and the lows don't mean, or they don't have to mean that there's anything wrong or missing with you. It's just the experience. Our job, I think, as humans, and my job as a coach, is to help people, one, either decide whether they want to deal with that in that workplace or that environment and get out, or two, build their capacity to be able to deal with that because it's never going away. And I think I bought into the belief that maybe if I just get a different job, it'll be different or it'll be better. But like, honestly, I've just seen it so many times. And I always say, new job, same brain, same nervous system,
Yeah.
same body. So
Yeah.
we have to give ourselves permission to get the help if we want the next thing to be different. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember like I went from nurse manager and then I thought, oh, I'm gonna work in the community. So I worked in the community. Then I thought, oh, I'm gonna work for non-government organizations. So I worked there and I just I bought all my same shit.
Yeah. Like, just
Same
pack it in
place.
a bag,
Yeah,
bring it
yeah.
with you.
Yeah. And yeah, it wasn't until I created that space and really listened to the whispers and quietened down the crazy lady in the attic that
Mm,
and really listen to my body. So if it feels crunchy, then
mm,
it's a hell no. And if it feels like hugging puppies, then it's a hell yes. And then if it's neutral, it's there's potential either way.
mm.
So
Yeah.
but every which way, there's learning from it. So there's no right or wrong. There's
Mm,
always opportunity for learning. Interesting, yeah. So
yeah.
what I'm just really curious now, because we've kind of I mean, Heart Place Hospital is it started this way, but it's evolved into it's way more than this. Like we're not about happy thoughts and pedicures and putting people back into the
Mm,
fire. So we're about really being system disruptors and change makers, chain breakers, creating new movements, and we know that we heal a healer, then we heal a community, we heal a community, we heal a nation, we heal a nation, we heal the
mm,
world. So it's such a massive ripple effect, and so much faster than just creating a space for individuals. So that's kind of how we roll. And part of that is really supporting people everybody, all humanity, to understand and celebrate their body and mind, whether it's mad, bad,
mm.
sad, or glad. Um, and I think, and I'd be curious to see if this is happening in your practice as well, is what we've found is that we've done that support role, that guidance role, doula role, and then they awaken to their power, and
Mm,
and then we give them the opportunity to amplify and we're seeing a real progress in our health system and being more of that what I call feminine. So
mm, mm,
allowing space for feeling, revealing, healing, and dealing and healing, uh,
mm.
and yeah. So really being system disruptors. And are you finding
Yeah.
that with your clients, they're not so much necessarily going back into the fire, but being quite creative about roles that they're going into, or they
Yeah.
be more
Yeah.
hybrid, or
Totally. Yeah, I think there's a shift happening right now for sure. And it's really exciting to watch and to see. And I feel like even within my own practice, my own coaching practice, there's a shift. I've been helping people with applications, interviews, like going for jobs. And people think they're coming to me just for an application, but really they're coming to reset, right? They're really coming in to give themselves permission and to claim their power, step into that feminine. And that's what I see to be true. But now I'm starting to see more people that are looking at people like yourself and I and going, hold on a minute, like maybe I could do something like that. And I love those DMs, like I love those messages. And I'm like, of course you can. I'm like, listen, I just took messy action to get here. That's all I
yeah,
did. I was willing to, publicly step into the light and fail, which I've done lots of, and make mistakes and learn from them and not make it mean anything about me or my capabilities. Um, step into that power and just push forward because I have something to offer. And this is where now I really feel like, we all became clinicians, healers, helpers, frontliners to help other people. And if I reflect back and I'm honest about my role as a clinician in the system, of course I helped, but I didn't help in the way that I feel like I signed up to be a nurse. Like I didn't feel like I'm helping the way that I signed up to help.
Yeah.
Prevention, preventative care, and we're so reactive. So I feel like giving people permission to step into the online space and magnify their message and use their mess to become their message and to monetize that message in a way that feels really good and clean and amazing and sustainable for them is the evolution that I think is the revolution
Yeah.
that I think that we are on the precipice of, because I've just found to be true recently so many nurses that are ready. They realize, and I just clicked like a couple of weeks ago. I don't know why it took me so long for this to click, but I'm like, what's been happening? But in the system, you can only really increase your income in this current cost of living crisis by busting your ass and working more and taking overtime, which is going to chronically add to your layering in emotional constipation, most likely, because most of us are not getting the support and the help that we need and we deserve, or you get promoted.
Mm.
And most people don't want to be promoted right now. I I don't have a lot of people that come to me that say, Liam, I want to be the CNC. I want to be the num. I want to be the don. It's very rare that I get people that want to climb the ladder. In fact, they want to take a side step. They want to get the life back. They want to heal the nervous system. And they're starting to play with the idea of like, what if I could make an extra $50, $100, $1,000 a month? What if I didn't have to work overtime? What if I could happily say, hell no? Thank you so much for the overtime request. But they're starting to see the potential. And there's never been a lower barrier to entry for nurses to be able to utilize their skills in the online space, their wisdom, their knowledge, their experience, and to monetize that and to do what they came here to do, to help people. I believe in my soul that every nurse is a coach, every nurse is a healer. And in the system, we just can't do that. I just can't see how that's going to get any better. The stories that I hear, and that's such a negative stance to take, but I've tried for the last 3 years to shine like a 50-50 light on it. Like maybe it could be, maybe it can. And I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, you know what? I last year I worked from Paris. I was in Paris for 15 months. I traveled to over 12 countries. I was in the US for conferences, which I paid for by myself. Generated my own income, worked from 12 different places. It was a dream come true. And I was like, holy shit, anybody can do this.
Mm.
Any nurse can do this. And I just feel like more people, I just can't wait for the day that we're like at a nursing conference and it's about nursepreneurship and, building a practice and people just leading the way and blowing it up. Because in the US, it's massive. And here, it's this side of the world, it's still very slow, which is exciting for us.
Yeah.
But we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Well, we've got 8 years. We've got 8 years banked up behind. So 16 between us. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is exciting. I'm finding I'm getting lots of clinicians contacting, and what's occurred is that they've come across these cutting edge modalities, and they've thought, oh, I love how the universe works. They've thought, oh, this will be great. This will be great. I'll go and learn this modality, and then they have this massive epiphanies, like, holy shit, like I could use it on me, on my family, on my clients. Holy shit. And then they're like, now what do I do? And then they come to Jackie, because I've been talking this way
Yeah.
many years now.
Yeah.
And I can, and that's part of my superpower. I can amplify that. I can click that out easy peasy. No, my sleep, literally. And so which is great. It's so good. It just makes all that snot and tears and blood and
Oh my
sweat and
God.
rocking
Yeah.
so worth it. And
Yeah.
there were so many times where I was like, I can't do this. And then I would sit in silence, in my magic, I call it, and they'd be like, well, what's my other like what else? What's my other choice?
Yeah.
Do I go back? Do I go back to the hamster wheel? Well,
Mm,
that's a hell no. That's crunchy.
mm.
Um, and so there's only really was one way.
Yeah.
But yeah, now, like I said, super excited. Definitely a shift in the energy. The other day I had a call from a visitor, call our clients visitors because
I love
I
that.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she'd taken her she'd taken her cat to the vet, and the vet and with a bladder infection, and the vet said, "Oh, has there some animosity or some fighting in the household? Because this is the energy that I'm feeling from
Oh,
your animal." And it's just like,
oh
oh,
wow. That's so
hallelujah.
interesting.
Yeah. So, and it also, like, it doesn't have to be like my knowing or my belief at the time was that you were this clinician, when you put the scrubs on and when you entered the door and you had your lanyard on and stuff. Whereas it doesn't, it can be any time. The other day I was promoting our biggest fundraiser at the markets, and
Mm,
this woman next to me, she was telling me that she can't walk far because she can't breathe well, and so I had inquired. I said, "Oh, why is that?" And she said, "Oh, they say it's
mm,
this." And I said, "Oh, what do you think?
mm,
What do you say?" And she's like, "Oh, no one's ever asked me that."
mm,
And so we ensued a conversation and enabled her to just kind of open up to some root cause reasons
mm.
herself, because we are our own best self healers.
Right.
We haven't had that exampled, and of course we need a healing roundtable. We need
Mm,
expertise. We need this inherent knowledge that we've all acquired. Because it's great to have different perspective, and it's good to have the witnessing and the knowledge shared. So
mm.
I love now that there's not, we can make a difference and not necessarily on the time, on the time clock or money
Right.
exchange.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
found a massive energy exchange, and at the end of us doing the market, she had a product, and she actually donated a significant
Amazing.
gift box for our upcoming big fundraiser. So
Yeah.
you can see how things are shifting in the exchange of energy, and yeah, hopefully she's gone home and she's, I don't know, I said she's met this crazy lady and she
Well,
spoke crazy talk.
yeah. What I love about that is the fact that we are really seeing a shift. Like there's so much literature and evidence and research out there now to prove the inner knowing, right? Like to really show us in all these different modalities as well that have been heavily studied and researched. And what maybe in the past I personally might have labeled as like woo-woo and a little skeptical, like, yeah, sure. Now I'm like, no, there's actually evidence here. There's literature. And even if you just think about life in general, and it'll be so interesting to see as we move forward how the impact of modern stress, what that looks like for future generations, like myself included, yourself, like what does that look like as we move forward within the health system? So I've never sat at a multidisciplinary team meeting where somebody said, maybe this chronic pain issue that this person has is a result of the fact that they have been compounding their stress for 60 years on this earth, and that they've never really, I mean, if I think of some of my family members, they're chronically stressed and they have chronic issues and no one can put a finger on it. It's like, well, what's going on there, right? And it comes back to that emotional constipation. I just feel like we're just so backed up and we just keep getting hit by these trucks, but there's no one that's doing exactly what you did there, which is beautiful. What an amazing gift to that amazing woman. He's like, what do you think's going on for you?
Yeah, and
Because we always know, like,
she's
how the
like
hell?
like deer in headlights.
Yeah,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah.
amazing, eh? Yeah, you've probably seen it. I swim in the ocean every morning with
Mm,
a pod of mermaids. And every morning we get out of that ocean, we're just like, this is medicine. Like
mm.
we can go in crunchy, um, and we can come out like we're hugging
Different
puppy.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, why is this not on a prescription? Like, why is
Mhm,
this,
mhm. Yeah.
and if we were truly had a health system that it was informed consent, that it was sovereignty, that it was body autonomy, then, so many more people would see the studies of, that thousands and thousands of studies that show that antidepressant therapy is equivalent to placebo effect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
having cold therapy is
Yeah.
100 times more serotonin than what we can get from an antidepressant
Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is us. This is me and you
Mm.
and our other posse. We're the ones that have bravely stepped through the fire, and
Mm. Yeah.
it's been simple, not easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
But also, we don't have the answers, right? We're still stepping through the fire. Like, we still don't know. And I think that's so important for people to hear, because I
yeah.
think sometimes I put people on a pedestal, right? Even with the knowledge, and I'm like, oh no, like, the other day, like the massage, I had that. And then I realized, I reminded myself how good I feel when I go and have like that fascial release. How good the other day I was feeling super lethargic. I went and jumped in the pool that we have in the apartment complex. It was freezing. My brain was like, hell no. But after I did that, I had back-to-back calls for 5 hours with amazing nurses. But my mind and body knew that I needed a reset. I needed to change my state. And I could have just sat here and kind of pushed myself through it. And that's what Pastline would have done. But now I'm like, no, 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 I need to go and do that. I must go and move my body. I love that you do that with the ocean every day. If I was closer, I would definitely do that, because it's just healing. You
Oh,
always feel better. And it's giving yourself permission to tune into that post-intervention feeling and emotion, and like starting to lock that in, because so many of us are so well versed in the pre-intervention emotional experience, right? Because that's just what we've repeated time and time again. It's what we've seen. It's what we've been exposed to. That interruption is so important.
so important, yeah. And that's what I love about and proud of Heart Place Hospital is, we've got many spaces where, in charities where it's about curing, whereas with Heart Place Hospital, we're standing up and showing up as being the prevention,
Mm,
and being the self healer, the self lover, so that there isn't necessarily such a disease to overcome.
mm, mm,
And that's not to say that that's not going to happen, but
yeah.
having the tools, but also I think you alluded to it back a bit further when you were in a clinical role. We were very conditioned to be the fixers and the helpers, and there was a lot of pressure on us to do that for someone in front of us. And I think a podcast that I'm just about to share is with a death doula, and
Mm,
just being so death phobic and so conditioned to be this, I don't know, Wonder Woman. What would
mm,
be?
mm,
And so allowing space for people to actually understand that. In my version, I use the word heal a lot,
mm,
but I don't necessarily mean cure. Healing does actually create cure at times, but what I mean by healing is coming back to our wholeness
mhm,
and
mhm,
finding our wholeness, and it's stepping away from. And I love what you're saying. You've really embodied and tapped in, because when I first started my healing journey, it was a real tick box of, oh
mhm.
gosh, I've got to take some time for some mindfulness. I've got to take some time to move my
Yeah.
body. So now I really tap in and go, actually, what do I need right now?
Mhm,
And I'm a big advocate of rest. Rest is best.
mhm.
And I've kind of got 5 decades to catch up on.
Yeah, but I think that's worth talking about, right? Because I think sometimes we think, well, why haven't I worked it out yet? Why, like, I do this all the time where I'm like, I was saying it yesterday to my partner, why do I still feel so tired halfway through the day? What's happening? But I have to then come back to my, conscious brain and be like, the rational reason here, as a clinician, if I collect the data shows me that for 10, 12 years, I busted my ass. So of course it's going to take time, and I don't have the clock. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I know that at the other end of it, I'm going to be a more evolved, healed, version of me that looks after myself because I never learned that. I started my nursing like at 20, 19. It was ridiculous. Straight into it. So just wham bam, thank you, ma'am, for 10 years. And I think that sometimes my parents will say to me, Liam, but like I've been working for like 40, 50, and they have a very different viewpoint. And I'm like, yeah, and how's that working out for you?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, that chronic pain you've got in your heel and your ankle?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. And this is the way that we're going to have a simple and sustainable healthcare system is that you and I actually do start listening to the whispers and
Mm,
pats on the shoulder, and then being the example of,
yeah.
so that it does ripple effect out, and seeing more and more of that. And I know,
Mhm.
like, because I do a lot of work with young women as well, so our future carers, our future
Yeah.
generation, and men, but particularly as women have more rites of passage
Mhm.
through menarche, menstruation,
Mhm.
sexuality,
Mm.
motherhood, menopause, and I'm always like, just to let you know, the top of the prescription is going to be rest, full
Yeah.
commitment.
And everybody's like, what do you mean rest? Like, what is that?
And I go, and if you want an example, if you look at my calendar, every afternoon is witch
Mm.
kip,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
actually I actually diarise that in, and I think it's about really unlearning these conditions of full time and
Hmm.
remembering
Hmm.
that we are energetic beings. So
Yeah.
some weeks, particularly women, some weeks we're going to have a lot of
Mm.
energy, and other weeks we're not.
Mm.
And for you guys, I mean, I look back on your intergenerational trauma. You witnessed your mothers, your daughters, your wives, your sisters be burnt on the stake and
Mm.
be and
Mm.
drowned, but for being the power that they were
Yeah.
that we
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's within you as well. So
Mm.
you've got
Mm.
full permission from me, Liam, all the way from Aotearoa to rest, and that rest is best.
Thank you. Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
interesting though, because as I've been on this journey, I've realized that rest for me never really felt safe because I'd conditioned myself to believe that overworking meant that I was worthy and capable and I would succeed. So now when I rest, like I recently just completed a nervous system and trauma informed certification, and I did it for myself selfishly, but it's helped massively in my coaching, and the way that I see the world as well. And one of the main realizations for me was that it's rest and self-care has never ever felt safe for me. It's never felt safe because it was so indulgent. I used to think, how indulgent of you, Liam, to go and I've got a very loud inner critic. I've got a very loud, crazy, crazy man in the attic. Um, and that was a real realization for me, and so much permission, but also grief came in that moment for like past Liam that was just thought he had to hustle and hustle and hustle. And we know from the literature that even just experiencing an episode of burnout can take up to 3 years to heal from. That's if we're actively healing. How many of us are emotionally constipated and all of the other things, right? And we're not in a space where we actually have the safety to heal. That's what I love about what you do. Like, I absolutely think it's a genius model, and I can't wait to come visit. I know we've talked about it, but I will come across. I've
Oh,
never
it
been
will
to New
happen for
Zealand, so I
sure.
need to come.
Yeah,
But
and
it's so
you've,
important, the
yeah, you've
safety in the healing. Otherwise, if I was just to do it, back in the day in Liam's apartment, I now understand why that didn't feel safe to me because I
yeah,
hadn't created safety.
yeah. And you've hit another one as well, because a lot of people having to choose their paycheck over their moral compass.
Mm, hmm.
And that's why a year ago I burnt down the business model and birthed the charity model, so that
Hmm. Hmm.
we could create an accessible,
Yeah.
soft, safe
Yeah.
land for people. Because that's a tough one, right? It's a
Hmm.
really tough one.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've been there, and it really it fried my nervous system big
I can
time.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Running the business side of it and making that decision. Yeah. Yeah, I can
yeah,
imagine. Yeah,
yeah,
because there's so many questions that already pop into my brain
yeah.
around that. Yeah. And how have you found that transition?
massive.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
I
obviously
always say to people,
naturally
if I've made it look easy, I'm sorry.
just one of your superpowers.
I'm really sorry. But I have no regrets, absolutely no
Yeah.
regrets. I think of it as, well, I feel like I planted the seeds 8 years ago, but I feel like,
Mm,
bamboo takes, you plant the seeds and you don't see the shoots for 5 years. And then once you see the shoots, you just, boom, you see 8 foot bamboo. So, that's where I feel I've got the
mm,
shoots and just waiting for the boom of the
yeah.
8 foot. Yeah, and it's I talk, and you'll understand this, I talk about healing our boundary wounds, and the more we do that, the more that we release that our own trauma experiences or our generational trauma experiences. But what opens up is our innate wisdom
Mm,
from our
right.
ancestors. And
Yeah.
so I know that I'm fully in alignment because I feel that absolutely in my bones and cells.
Mm, mm,
Even if even if there was a choice, there is no choice. Like
yeah.
this is it's not a I've come this far.
Hmm.
It's going. And it doesn't mean that these moments of like, holy shit.
What am I doing?
So there's that side of it, and then there's the learning to advocate for ourselves and others, and I've it's Anzac today, as you know, and I've just had an SOS of a frontliner whose families contact me, and they've tried to end their lives, and
Oh,
there's
wow.
nowhere for them to go. So, and I know that's my superpower. I can support that.
Mm,
That's
mm,
I have that ability, and I've created that space for that. So, so learning to advocate for myself and others, but also advocating discernment, just like a million miles.
mm,
Like
mm,
you, I'm a people recovered
mm,
people pleaser, and yeah, just really know my know when to say no on
mm,
answers. Yeah.
mm,
And then the last one is crafting a life to best suit us. So, part of that, I remember it was pre-pandemic actually, I wrote my perfect day down,
hmm.
just
I love
check,
that
like, this
task.
is my
Yeah.
perfect day.
Yeah.
And I live that now. I live my perfect
Yeah.
day every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that there's not curveballs and things,
Mm,
because I've committed to my own nervous system regulation work. Like I have support, I have magical mentors that help me with
yeah.
that. When those curveballs come in, I look to what I would have been like even a year ago, and
Hmm.
I feel this equanimity, this neutrality, this like, okay, right, this is happening for me, not to me. What next? Okay,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. I feel
yeah,
like once you get into that space and you've got the safety and the mentorship and the guidance, the doors open. A lot of people come to me and ask me the question, Liam, how do I get to this goal? Like, how
yeah.
do I get there? I want to be there. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, or they don't know. Like a lot of people will say, I just don't know where I need to go and what I need to do. And I'm like, you know what? The answer doesn't lie in my brain. The answer lies in you learning how to tap into your inner wisdom. And of course, I get eye rolls and all of the things. People are like, are you sure? But truly, like once they start creating some space, they start giving themselves permission to understand themselves better, that clarity, that wisdom, it just opens up. And I have no other way to describe it. And that's what I love about even you just sharing your story there. And you've talked about this a couple of times throughout the podcast, whereby, you have married beautifully your lived experience, your personal experience, your professional experience, and now you've created this amazing this Hot Place Hospital that you had a vision for 8 years ago, and you've brought that into reality. I think that's incredible. And what I want people to hear that are listening is that if that is your path, you can marry all of your things too and bring them together. I think so many people think they need to, as clinicians in particular, we think we need a certificate or something to prove that we can do something before we do it because we've been trained. That makes sense, right? That's how we've been trained. But outside of clinical worlds, you can do whatever you want. And
I,
you can do it and you can marry them all beautifully together like you have. And
I,
you just elevate. your power and your impact because you just step into that. And it doesn't mean that you had it all worked out 8 years ago, right? Like, because it's been a friggin', I'm the same. I'm like, I think I need to burn this down and start all over again. But it's just part of the process. And that's the beauty of being an evolving human on this earth.
Definitely, yeah. Oh no, I love it. Thanks for that reflection. Very
Yeah,
cool.
no, I just noticed it and I just think that we don't give ourselves enough credit. So I'm always going to pass it back.
Yeah. We've got pom-poms out for each other.
I'm here. I'm going to be
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
your Heart Place Hospital
Yeah.
Queenship.
My high school team.
What I love
Like,
about you, Jackie, is that and I don't mean to keep like, lifting you up, but I do intentionally. What I
okay, go
love is that
on.
you embody everything. You absolutely embody the whole vision. I just feel like it's just so much part of you. And I don't know if that resonates or if that's the intention, but even this morning I got a text from Jackie saying, "Hey, I noticed it's Anzac Day. Are you coming on the podcast?" And then you signed it off with Heart Place Hospital Queen. And I just love that about you. I love that. I'm like, how can I steal that?
I know. I really wanted to weave it into here, so this is a good time as and you brought it in at the beginning, and it's what I think was really missing, and we were trying to do it as clinicians was more play. Like we
Oh my
love,
God,
yeah,
100%. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
we tried to do it, and it just, we'd get in trouble, like, get told
Which
off.
is, yeah, it's hilarious, all right, because we both know that play is a huge part in nervous system regulation and stress management. Like this morning I was fooling about dancing, right? I never dance, I can't dance, but I feel so much better because of that. And we can strategically leverage play to get us into the states that we want to be so that we can go and achieve these kick-ass goals. That's part of being mentally and emotionally flexible, right? It's just giving ourselves permission to do whatever used to light you up as a kid and like bring that into your adult life. So many of us, myself included, work, 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 eat, sleep, repeat.
Yeah.
And it's just like when we reintroduce that, I think I'm addicted to RuPaul's Drag Race. So I don't know if any of your listeners watch that or listen to that, but that to me is play. I'm just like these people. I'm like,
You know what I'm addicted to? Dragon's Den. Totally addicted.
I
I've
love
got my
that. What
friends like,
about
how many
it?
Dragon's Den today? I'm like, just one.
What is it about Dragon's Den?
I think I quite like I guess being a philanthropist. It's
Mm,
that challenge of really showing up and showing your passion and
mm,
speaking up, and having people actually hear you,
yeah,
hear,
yeah,
hear,
yeah.
yeah,
I imagine also people like watching people step into their power because that's what they're doing, right? Like
yeah,
in Dragon's Den,
yeah.
they're stepping into their power and they're like asking for what they want,
And
which is,
I love seeing them step into their power because obviously the dragons are seen as like, this hierarchical kind of, the
hospital matrons.
yeah, that, truly, yeah. And so then these people step into their power and kind of go, actually, I'm going to renegotiate, I'm going to renegotiate. And
Mm,
so I see it really relevant to that whole healing the boundary wound,
yeah,
advocating for yourself and others and crafting life to be suit you. Yeah.
love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my latest addiction. So no, I hear you. I full permission. Go for it.
Yeah. So here's the question. When are we going to see you on Dragon's Den?
I know. I know.
Get that on your vision board.
I know. Super keen. I'm
Do it.
super,
I can't wait.
yeah. Imagine that, having a cool investor like that.
It'd
In
be
fact, I see it.
amazing.
I see it already. I see it
It's
already.
happening. We said it here first on this day.
Yeah, totally. We've like stamp marked it. Anzac Day 2024.
I love it.
So cool. Hey, well, that's been so cool, and
So
thank you
much fun.
so much. And what I love ending with, if you could share with the listeners what's coming up in your heart place right now, like what's something you can share with others. How can people find you?
Mm,
And yeah.
I love that. Well, what's coming up for me is so much gratitude for this connection and for this opportunity. So thank you. I think for me that what's coming up personally is the permission to give yourself the opportunity to rebirth and reset and realign. I feel like that is the energy of the world at the time of the recording right now. And that can be challenging and hard. And it puts us back into that, what I call the river of misery, where all of the things come up. But at the other side of that, there's an opportunity for immense growth. And I'm just trusting and believing that that's true. And I've been seeing my angel numbers every day, every single day. I can't talk. So I'm like, I think I'm on track here, but I'm not alone. I think there's been lots of that of late, which is so beautiful. Even if it's not real, sometimes I think to myself, even if that's not real, it makes me feel good, so I enjoy it.
Yeah.
um, and where people can find me, so I'm at High Performance Nursing on the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the TikTokers, the YouTubers, everywhere. I'm a social media. I'm not going to say the word, but I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm
I love
addicted to
that.
social media.
Yeah.
We're all over the place, and if anybody wants to listen to the High Performance Nursing and Jackie's episodes, there's two amazing episodes there. That's available on all podcast platforms.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. I'm loving all the nurses that I'm having on this platform because they love social media and sharing their stories. So
Yeah.
we're hungry. There's an international study, the Woodhull study, 2019, that we're relevant. Only 2% of the nurses' story is ever shared in news and media. So
Wow.
we're about to blast that study out of the ocean
Yeah.
by creating these platforms. So thank you so much for
You are
coming
so
on the Heart Rate
welcome.
Control
Thank
podcast.
you.
And yeah, I look forward to sharing this far and wide and giving other people permission to play and rest and burn down what they're doing, and to step into their heart place and see what superpowers we can amplify and activate and create a whole new version of what's going on right now.
Love it. I love your work. I love your
Yeah,
work. Can't
okay,
can't
go.
wait to see what you do next.
Back at ya. Back at ya.